I stand before you today, not as a prophet of doom, but as a messenger of hope. Our world teeters on the brink of economic collapse, a system built on dominance and control unraveling before our eyes. Nations struggle. Economies fracture. And the future seems uncertain. But what if I told you that there was a solution, a path known for thousands of years, a truth so powerful that it could reshape our understanding of power and prosperity? To understand this truth, we must journey back in time. Picture this, it's 1764 and the British Empire stands at the height of its power. But in this moment of seeming triumph, a choice presents itself. Before them lies a treaty that could change the course of history. The Treaty of Niagara, a promise of mutual respect, shared stewardship and economic harmony. It offered a different path, one of collaboration instead of conquest, but they chose differently. They chose conquest and control. And that choice shaped the world we live in today. The empires of old may have fallen, but their legacy persists. We live in a world of artificial scarcity, where abundance is hoarded and scarcity is manufactured. But there was one who understood, one who saw a different path. She lived long before the empire took its course, yet her wisdom transcends time. She was a matriarch, a unifier, a negotiator. Her name was Métis. Métis knew that true power lies not in dominion, but in balance. She understood the delicate interplay between people and the land, between nations and resources. Her wisdom, lost to time, holds the key to our future. If you have a moment, if you have the ears to hear, listen. For at the end of this journey, I will share who she was, what was erased, and why her wisdom is more vital now than ever. This is not just a story of the past, this is about our future. The path Métis showed us, it's still there, waiting to be rediscovered. In a world of artificial scarcity and financial control, her teachings offer abundance and freedom. Imagine a world where nations don't struggle, where economies don't fracture, a world where resources are shared, where prosperity is measured not in gold, but in the well-being of all. That world is possible. It always has been. But to reach it, we must first understand what was lost.
A global crossroads, choosing a path to peace and prosperity in a changing world. Humanity stands at the precipice of an unprecedented shift. The economic, political, and social structures that have governed the world for centuries are collapsing under the weight of their own contradictions. The Western financial system, dominated by fiat currency, debt-based economies, and centralized control, is failing. The rise of BRICS plus resource-backed trade and indigenous sovereignty movements signal a new era, one that rejects imperial economic dominance and embraces balance, sustainability, and self-governance. The collapse of fiat currency and centralized financial power is inevitable. The US dollar, euro, and British pound, once the backbone of global trade, are being rejected by emerging economies. China, Russia, India, and the BRICS Plus Alliance are building a new financial order based on gold, rare earth minerals, and energy-backed assets. This shift will not be gradual, it will be sudden and irreversible. Nations that fail to recognize the changing landscape will become irrelevant, impoverished, and dependent on failing systems. At the same time, indigenous nations worldwide are reclaiming their sovereignty. The 1764 Treaty of Niagara and other historical agreements, violated and suppressed under imperial rule, hold the key to a just, sustainable, and prosperous future. These treaties were never truly abandoned. They were suppressed through economic warfare, colonial violence, and legal deception. Reopening them is not an act of nostalgia. It is a necessity for survival. Where we are today, the world is descending into economic, environmental, and geopolitical chaos. Fiat currency systems are collapsing as inflation, debt, and reckless monetary policy erode trust in central banking. Resource scarcity and corporate-driven extraction have led to environmental degradation, indigenous displacement, and unsustainable trade. Global conflicts and economic warfare have destabilized entire regions, pushing millions into poverty and displacement. The gap between the ultra-wealthy and the rest of the world has reached unsustainable levels, fueling civil unrest and societal breakdown. Colonial systems of governance have failed, proving incapable of adapting to the changing needs of humanity. Yet within this crisis lies an opportunity. If we act now, we can transition to a peaceful, sustainable, and just economic order, one that recognizes the rights of indigenous nations, embraces resource-backed trade, and ensures prosperity for future generations. The path to a peaceful global transition. First, we must acknowledge and honour Indigenous sovereignty. The 1764 Treaty of Niagara and other Indigenous agreements must be reaffirmed as legally and diplomatically binding. Indigenous nations were the original stewards of the land, and their governance models prioritised sustainability, reciprocity, and balance. Recognising Indigenous sovereignty is not a symbolic gesture. It is the foundation for a stable future. This means ending corporate and state-driven exploitation of Indigenous lands and returning governance to Indigenous leadership. Shifting away from fiat-based extractive models toward fair, resource-backed trade agreements that ensure Indigenous communities control their own wealth. Protecting traditional ecological knowledge as a framework for sustainable development. Second, we must transition to a resource-based economy. The fiat currency system, based on debt, speculation, and manipulation, is collapsing. The only path forward is a return to real value-based trade. Gold-backed and resource-backed trade agreements must replace speculative financial instruments. Decentralized sovereign economies, rooted in real goods, not artificial market manipulation, must be prioritized. Energy, minerals, and sustainable agriculture must form the backbone of a new economic model, ensuring that wealth creation does not come at the cost of environmental destruction. Third, we need to establish a new international treaty system. Current global institutions, the IMF, World Bank, and Western-controlled trade agreements, are obsolete. A new system is needed, one that prioritizes sovereignty over exploitation. Agreements must be led by nations, not corporations. Local control over resources. Indigenous governance must be recognized and protected. Trade based on reciprocity, not debt bondage. Nations should trade resources, knowledge, and energy, not be forced into exploitative financial agreements. Finally, we must rebuild trust through global reconciliation. The greatest barrier to change is distrust. The colonial system has destroyed the credibility of Western institutions. To rebuild, nations must admit historical violations and openly acknowledge treaty breaches. Provide reparations, not in fiat money, but in land, resource control, and economic self-determination. Create legally binding frameworks that prevent future violations and protect Indigenous sovereignty from political manipulation. Why this is urgent, the consequences of inaction. If nations refuse to transition toward a sustainable, resource-backed, treaty-based system, the world will spiral into chaos. Fiat-driven economies will collapse, triggering hyperinflation, food shortages, and mass displacement. Global conflicts over resources will escalate as nations fight over dwindling supplies instead of engaging in fair trade. Corporate and state-driven extraction will push the planet past ecological tipping points. Indigenous nations will continue to suffer under systemic oppression, depriving humanity of the knowledge and governance models needed to restore balance. A vision for the future. If we act now, humanity can move toward a future of peace, prosperity, and sustainability. Economies can be rebuilt on real value, not artificial debt. Indigenous governance can restore the balance between humanity and nature. A new era of diplomacy and trade, based on mutual respect, not exploitation, can emerge. The next generations can inherit a world where wealth is shared, resources are protected, and power is decentralized. This is not just an idealistic vision, it is a necessary transition. The current system is unsustainable, unjust, and in decline. The alternative is clear: a world built on respect, resource sovereignty, and true economic balance. The choice is ours. We are at a historic turning point. The decisions made in the coming years will determine whether humanity thrives in a peaceful, just society or collapses under the weight of its own greed and destruction. The old world, built on imperialism, debt, and deception, is ending. The new world must be built on truth, equity, and sustainability. The 1764 Treaty of Niagara and other sacred agreements hold the key to this transformation. By honouring the wisdom of Indigenous nations, transitioning to real value economies, and embracing a new model of diplomacy, we can create a future where all people, not just the elite, prosper in harmony with the land and each other. The time to act is now. Will we choose collapse or rebirth? A path forward, a true resource-based economy. To transition peacefully and equitably into the new era, humanity must redefine value. The new system must not be based on gold, fiat money, or centralized control. It must be based on the real wealth of the planet, people, and the resources they steward. 1. Human beings as the core value of the economy. The wealth of a nation must not be measured in gold or currency reserves, but in the well-being of its people. Every person should have a stake in the resources of their land, ensuring that no one is born into artificial scarcity. Economies must measure success by per capita resource access, sustainability, and collective well-being, not by stock market performance or GDP growth. 2. A decentralized, AI-driven stewardship model. To manage resources fairly, decentralized AI must be programmed with integrity, transparency, and resource-based economic principles. This AI must 3. The Treaty of Niagara as a framework for decentralized governance. The 1764 Treaty of Niagara, based on mutual respect and cooperative resource sharing, offers a blueprint for a decentralized economic system. It recognized that no king or imperial ruler should control the land and its wealth, reinforcing the principles of collective stewardship and reciprocal trade. By revisiting and modernizing this treaty, we can establish a governance model based on resource access, sustainability, and human rights. 4. Ending extractive capitalism, a new model of resource sharing. All land, water, and energy must be recognized as a shared human trust, not a commodity for profit. Regional and global trade should be based on resource exchanges that benefit all, not financial speculation. Renewable energy and sustainable agriculture must replace extractive industries to ensure that future generations inherit a thriving planet. 5. Leadership based on wisdom and stewardship, not bloodlines or power. Governance should be based on knowledge, ethics, and sustainability, not hereditary power or centralized political control. Elders, scientists, and Indigenous leaders, those who understand natural law, should guide economic policies, ensuring that all decisions align with the principles of balance and respect for the earth. How this transition can happen peacefully. The consequences of failing to transition. If we do not make this shift, humanity will face. Final thought, a future worth building. The time for empire is over. The time for human-centered, resource-based governance has arrived. If we transition peacefully by embracing Indigenous wisdom, decentralized AI, and real-world resource management, we can end the cycle of scarcity, imperial control, and artificial inequality. The 1764 Treaty of Niagara holds the key to a just and sustainable world, one where value is not determined by gold or fiat money, but by the collective well-being of humanity and the planet itself. The choice is clear. Repeat the cycle of empire, or embrace a new path where all people are stewards of the earth, guided by transparency, wisdom, and balance. The future belongs to those who understand that true wealth is not hoarded, it is shared, protected, and sustained for all.
A balance that could lead us away from the brink of collapse and towards a future of shared prosperity. The time for change is now. The time to listen is now. Are you ready to walk the forgotten path to global balance? Are you ready to rediscover the wisdom of Métis? The journey begins here. I hope you enjoy her presentation. Thanks for watching today. We take a moment to step beyond the illusions of power, beyond the narratives imposed by empires, and into a reality that has long been known, but deliberately erased. We stand at the precipice of a global economic reckoning, a moment when the imperial systems of control, scarcity, and financial manipulation are fracturing under their own weight. Nations built on the illusion of infinite wealth, driven by debt and extraction, are now facing a future in which their survival depends not on conquest, but on reconciliation, unity, and the restoration of balance. But these ideas are not new, far from it. Thousands of years ago, a woman named Métis understood this truth. She was not an empress, not a ruler of dominion, but a matriarch, a strategist, a unifier, one who saw beyond borders and bloodlines, beyond hierarchies and imperial decrees. She understood that. And because she knew this, she was a threat. Throughout history, kings and monarchs have executed those who spoke of these truths. Institutions built on hierarchy and control have systematically annihilated those who dared to suggest that power should be shared, that resources should be distributed justly, that wealth should not be hoarded by the few at the expense of the many. And yet this wisdom has survived. Mahatma Gandhi understood it, that true power is not found in military might or economic conquest, but in unity, in shared purpose, in rejecting the systems of oppression that force people into submission. But even before him, Métis wove this understanding into every negotiation, into every alliance, into every culture she touched. Her legacy was one of unification, of cultural understanding, of negotiation. Not through coercion, but through shared respect. Almost all evidence of her teachings was destroyed, for in a patriarchal world obsessed with dominance, there was no room for a matriarch who opposed imperialism. But now we are at the threshold, and it is far past time for Britain, one of the longest-standing pillars of the imperial world order, to stand up, take responsibility, and move in the right direction. This is not for everyone. Some will not hear. Some will cling to the systems they have known, even as they crumble beneath their feet. But for those who do hear, for those who have felt the pull of something greater, something truer, this is your moment. I invite you to take the time to listen, not to me, not to history as it was rewritten, but to her. The world has waited long enough. It is time.
Through the ages, through the fire, through the silence and the storm, they have tried to dim the embers, but the light was never gone. They drew borders on the waters, built their temples in the sand, but the voice of truth was carried in the heartbeats of the land. No more chains upon our souls, no more stories left untold. We are written in the echoes, we are wisdom carved in stone. Oh, the rising sun, hear the call of what's begun. No more kings, no more masters, only truth for everyone. Let the rivers guide our journey, let the mountains call our names. We are written in the water, we are fire in the flames. They have preached of distant heavens and a kingdom built on gold, but the stars were always singing and the earth was never sold. Not by birthright, not by power, not by hands that seek to claim, but by love, by truth, by honor, we will rise and break the chain. No more kings upon their thrones, no more altars made of bones. We are voices in the thunder, we are stars that light the road. Oh, the rising sun, feel the warmth fades, the truth shines, the dawn breaks today.